It's time to try to connect to the firewall remotely. I am running a terminal window in my Macintosh. If you're running Windows, you can use PuTTY or Terraterm or anything like that, and you use the SSH. In my Macintosh, in the terminal, SSH is a built-in command, so I use the command SSH space, and here I specify the host I want to connect to, and I use the outside IP address because my Macintosh is on the outside of the firewall. Since I am logged in my Macintosh with the username Jimmy, it will by default log in with that username in the firewall, and there is only one user in the firewall, and that's the user Cisco. So I want to specify Cisco. And I do that by writing SSH Cisco at and IP address. What I write before the at is the username I want to try to connect with. The first time I connect to any device, I will get a prompt asking me to verify the fingerprint, and I say yes here, and I use the password Cisco, and I'm in the firewall remotely. I use the enable password, empty, there's no enable password yet, to get into the firewall, and now I have full access to the firewall. What's left for me to configure here is, first of all, I want to have an enable password. So I use the command AAA authentication, enable console local. That says that it should use each username's local password as enable password. Just to show you, if I disconnect from here and connect again, and I use the Cisco password here, whenever I write enable here, I will need to enter a password. If I just press enter here, which I did just 1 minute ago, it does not work. So I need to use my password Cisco to get into the enable mode. So I'm in. What I want to do now is to add some basic filtering in the device to allow some access and block everything else. I need to create an access list on the inside. I want to permit all the web traffic, any equal to 80. I specify all TCP traffic that has the destination of port 80, and I allow that. And I want to allow 443, allow UDP 53, which is DNS lookup. UDP any equal 53. And I also want to allow all ICMP traffic, so I can ping any. And I want to create an access list on the outside that has a explicit deny any. And I apply the access list, access group ACL inside, in interface inside, and ACL outside, in because it's inbound, interface outside. I also want to add the fix-up protocol ICMP, so it handles ICMP traffic stateful, and that makes us able to ping through the firewall. After that, I only have one thing left, and that's to add NAT, Network Address Translation. Show run interface. I have two interfaces. I have the inside interface with IP addresses 10.0.0, and I want to hide those addresses when I have outbound traffic out on the internet, out on the outside. I want to do a hide net, a dynamic hide net. To do that, I create an object that I call something like inside the net. That is the subnet 10.0.0.0. And for that subnet, I do a NAT from inside to outside that is dynamic. That should use the outside interface as the source address when I go out on the internet. Show run NAT. If I look at the complete configuration, well, it's not complete, but it's enough for me to get the outbound access to internet. If I look at the configuration, most of the part I see here is not entered by me, it's default. But I can see that I have the interface configuration here. I can see further down that I have created an object 10.0.0.0 called inside net. I have my access lists, two of them here. I can also see that I have the NAT configuration, NAT inside outside dynamic interface. I have my access group commands that applies the access list on each interface. I have AAA authentication for SSH and enable pointing to local that uses the local username and password. Further down, I have the SSH command specifying which IP addresses are allowed to connect with SSH to the firewall. I have the SSH timeout 5. It's actually a good idea to change that to something else because 5 minutes is not very much. Whenever you are idle in 5 minutes connecting with SSH to the firewall, the session will die. So I recommend you to raise that to the maximum value of 60, which is 1 hour. I have the username Cisco here. We can see that the password now is encrypted, so it's not in clear text. And I can see here in the policy map for class inspection default that I have inspect ICMP. When I wrote the command fix up protocol ICMP, it changed that to the command policy map global policy, class map inspection default, and inspect ICMP. But to save keystrokes, I just entered the command fix up protocol ICMP. This is not a complete configuration, but this is a baseline. This is a basic configuration to get started with to get the outbound access to internet in a secure way.